Welcome back to another edition of Balance Over Perfect. Hey guys, Kim Kelty Gorski here. How do I mess up my own name? Kim Kelty Gorski. A girl with a former speech impediment can now speak on a podcast. So remember, dreams do come true. Hi guys, how are you? And I'm hoping I'm coming to you well, and you're in a space where you can shut off all the notifications around you. Shut off everything that is distracting you, because right now we are going to talk about a subject that is probably holding you back. Procrastination. Let's sit on that. Procrastination. We aren't getting things done. We would rather watch, literally 5 to 7 hours worth of the latest Netflix, or, oh my gosh, guys, if you're watching Big Little Lies, that was amazing. Not potentially well spent for my business, but good to really kind of get that little release with kind of just what's going on in the TV world. But procrastination is just that. It's getting away from things that we want to do within our household, within our relationships, within our career. So whatever that is for you right now, let's get into that space, because this is an important topic. And when I was doing a little bit more research on it, because it's something where a lot of my clients really struggle with, and I didn't really know how to help them. So what I did is I went and did some research on it, because I'm not someone that has struggled a ton with procrastination. And I think it has a lot to do with, I don't like things kind of like wandering out there. But after doing a lot of research, I definitely do a form of procrastination. So I want to start off by literally saying this right off the bat. It's not your fault. Take that in, take it for a second. It is not your fault that you procrastinate. And you've been told, and you've told yourself, I bet for quite some time it is. You've probably beaten yourself up. You've probably gone to the extreme of losing, a task or a job title, or even your dreams. So let's sit here for a few and really hone in on what procrastination really is, and really what you can do about it going forward. Because the thing is that we will say to ourselves, I will always procrastinate. That's just me. Well, guess what? That's past thinking. Let's think in the present right now. And that's going to be you working on this. And let's think about going forward. Because has that been working for you? I always say that to my clients. Has that been working for you? And I say it with laughter, because if anyone really wants to move forward, truly, deep down, really wants to get on that next level, feeling like they're fueling on all cylinders, not perfection, but feeling like they're progressing in life. All right, so when we think about, what procrastination is, it is like a bad behavior pattern. Simple as that. So really, the definition is that we're avoiding something. So procrastination is an avoidance. So what we got to do today is put it with a new positive pattern, which is just getting started. I know it sounds simple, but just like one of my great mentors, Brendan Bouchard, says, common sense is not always common practice. So know that a lot of these things are probably going to be a duh, but they are going to be a point where you're going to be like, whew, I'm making that switch. Whew, I'm getting started. And then it's going to give you that grace that I always talk about, and that peace. But today, we are taking action with this kind of concept. Oh, I'm so excited. I get really excited about this stuff, because productivity is not sexy. But it is sexy? When you feel accomplished, and when you got stuff checked off your list, and you're moving the needle forward, and you're taking that awesome selfie with that accomplishment. You know what I'm talking about, sister. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You just finished an awesome goal. Either it was a workout, or it was a nutrition plan, or it was, you got a new position at a job, or you accomplished a goal because you spoke on stage and that was one of your fears. Yeah, take that selfie, boom, put it to Facebook, Instagram stories, wherever you're at, and then you feel good. That is sexy. This kind of work, what we're doing right here, not so sexy, not so glamorous. But what it will do for you, it's going to set you free. It's going to give you that mental space that we all want, need, and now we're going to go accomplish it. Because when we think about what this avoidance, this procrastination is taking up so much room, and it could be a lot of subconscious. There's definitely consciousness to it, but that subconscious is not serving us, not one bit, of how much that avoidance is taking up. Because what happens is we lose trust in ourselves. So every time that we procrastinate for something, we lose trust. And so if I didn't do this podcast today and I put it on my list this week to do it, I would lose trust in myself. I learned that from Stephen Covey Jr. with Speed of Trust, the book. Awesome book. I read it, or actually I did it on Audible. Super long book, but it was great to really dig into that piece of it and just understand of every time, for example, you want to wake up at 5 a.m. and every time you hit snooze, every time you get up later, every time you're beating yourself up, you lost trust in yourself. You lost trust in your abilities to get started, to do it. You have trusted yourself a ton to avoid. So right now, you have a ton of trust in your procrastination. You have a ton of trust in your avoidance. Now, let's get the trust on the good side. The dark side and the good side, Star Wars fans out there. So when we think of the procrastination, it could be in a very different way. So you could be getting a lot of stuff done. So if you are doing a lot of stuff, but you don't feel like you're doing those needle movers, aka those hard ones that you have to potentially go get more, knowledge for, go learn more about. You don't know how to do it. Oh gosh, this is definitely, this is in my wheelhouse. So the easy things, those are really just temporarily mood boosters. So for example, like I brushed my teeth today. I ate my meal today. I, helped my husband with this. I did the easy task at work. That always temporary mood boosters. So it's the concept of, would you rather have short-term loss or long-term gain? So right now with the temporary mood booster, we're just having that short-term gain, not the long-term gain. Short-term loss in the sense of like, I'm checking off things, opposed to I'm going to do a short-term loss, aka I'm going to learn that hard task, or I'm going to do that hard task, and it's going to be a long-term gain because you are now really switching that bad behavior, avoidance, to the new positive behavior of getting started. So I want to share a story that I was, when I was doing some of my research with this, and I'm going to reference a couple of the places that I did some research. So the first one was a story from The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. Man, this is the first time I was ever exposed to Mel Robbins, but I heard she's incredible on TED Talk. If you have, on a podcast, TED Talk, Google her. I'm actually going to be doing that this week. It's in my personal and professional development because I already have such a huge girl crush on her. She's amazing. So the 5-Second Rule was where I heard the story, and it was a really interesting story about this guy, and he procrastinates. So insert yourself into the story if you are a procrastinator. And he's just like, all right, so why aren't you getting things done? He's like, well, I'm back at school. I'm going back for my doctorate, and we're super strapped on cash. I'm financially stressed, but that's, going to come. That's going to happen. And, it's just, we have a baby on the way. And when, either my tasks aren't getting done and they're, people are getting mad because they're not done, or they're past the due date. And so I feel like I'm just literally trying to get above water. And so that was the story. And what I liked about how Mel was describing it, she's like, key word, financial stress. Not that he's a procrastinator, not that he's missing deadlines, not that people are getting obsessed. It's financial stress. He's under financial stress. So what is really is amazing is that procrastination is not a form of laziness. And that's a big myth that we've been telling ourselves for a very long time. I'm going to say it again. Procrastination is not laziness. It is a coping mechanism for stress. So if you're going to sit and do some Netflix and chill and you got a big paper due, you're coping that stress. So when we start to recognize that, we can start to release the fact that we are beating ourselves up with the laziness and we can't get it done and we're just going to be like this for the rest of our lives. No, sister, brother. It is a coping mechanism for stress. That's it. Really, that's not it. It is it. But now how do we work on that? I'm going to give you this space right here. and just take a second. So if you're in your car, if you're at home, if you're doing your dishes, I love doing podcasts over the dishes, by the way. I hate laundry and dishes, and the only thing that gets me through is listening to podcasts and listening to audiobooks. So wherever you are, I want you to take this in. You got to forgive yourself. And that's not the kumbaya, I forgive you, and everything is going to be all better. It is actually scientifically proven the people that forgive themselves for this kind of procrastination and these kind of habits are skyrocketing. So you've been going this way of thinking for so long with procrastination. Now we're going in a different. So we're going from the avoidance to getting started. So I hope you take away a lot from this podcast today, but I really hope you take away the forgiveness. Okay? Got it? All right, cool. Let's move on. So another reference that I really want to do is from Dr. Cycle, and he's a professor at Carleton University. And what was really great is that he started talking about, you're not avoiding work. So we talk about that laziness piece. We are actually just avoiding stress. So when we talked about a little bit before that procrastination is not laziness, it is a coping mechanism. That's exactly it. You're not avoiding your work. So there's another psychological thing we're going through is that, wow, we don't like our work, or, we don't like to do these tasks, and I may not want to do this for the rest of my life, or it's something, of course, I do know people that actually like laundry, so I'm not going to say that, but I'm not like sitting there and being like, I don't like that kind of work. So let's keep it more on the career side. And it's like, you're not avoiding that work. You're just avoiding stress. And so when you find those pockets of time of, you're just go, 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 you've been doing task beyond task, stress at home with, financial, relationship, whatever that is for you, you're just needing that pocket of time. So if you're going to pour yourself that glass of wine, or if you're going to, kind of numb it out with reality TV, that is just your pocket of time of just really avoiding that stress. So that really is why it's not your fault. So how do we move forward from this? Because I'm giving you all these great things about what it is, but how do we now move forward and get started? One, we talked about recognizing it and being aware. Two, we talked about really forgiving that piece and really understanding why we've been doing this. And now three, let's talk about what kind of procrastination you can be doing and what really is not serving you, and we got to kind of eliminate. So he talks about, Dr. Psycho talks about productive procrastination versus destructive procrastination. And I thought this was mind-blowing. And that's why I'm excited to share with you today, because the productive procrastination, so when you're in like a creative space, so like say you're doing something at home where you want to like be super creative with this like wall decor or your decor in your home, or you have, a job that really forces you to be creative with ideas and new things, that kind of productive procrastination is actually very beneficial for you, because what happens is when you take yourself away from the work. So I actually did that this week to be like, okay, I'm going to give myself 1, that grace, 2, that peace, and 3, where's the action? So when I took myself away from work this week and I gave myself that productive procrastination, wow. My mind was able to wander. I was able to free up space to even think a little bit more outside the box, opposed to do, check off, check off, check off. Completely different ballgame. So give yourself that productive procrastination. Put in that white space. And what that white space is if you have a calendar, I'm in Google Calendar. I love putting my stuff in there. I block out time in there. And I've talked about quite a bit of productivity tips, and I'll talk a little bit more coming forward. But so if you have a calendar or a tangible calendar, if you don't have a calendar, period, highly recommend you getting some type of system so you can really start to track what it is and what you're doing. That white space, meaning I don't have a blocked out time or color for a meeting, for a task, for a project. That white space is opening up for so much more for me to be creative and so much more to have that space of getting done. So yesterday, I gave myself productive procrastination. Because I was so excited to film this podcast. I was so excited to do some projects that I'm doing this coming week. And it wandered. My mind was able to wander, put creative ideas, and just, whoo, I'm on fire. Do you want to feel like that? And then think about that way. And then destructive procrastination. That is when you know wholeheartedly that you are doing a negative outcome of what your procrastination is going to look like. So what does that mean? So you know you have a deadline and you are definitely missing it. That is when it's destructive because people are waiting on it. You are really losing trust within yourself. And 3, you are just straight up bringing that negativity around your environment. That's not worth it. It isn't worth it. So how can we now change that? Giving yourself that space of productive procrastination and then making it get started. So the 5-second rule, that book I referenced before, she has a super simple concept that it's literally 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. That has helped me a ton. Simple concept, but it's helped me a ton when I'm trying to get things done. Another thing that has helped me a ton is me brain dumping everything I have to do that day. Also projects that I have to do that day, and also things that I don't know how to do. So for example, in the coming weeks, I'm going to be filming a webinar. I don't know how to film a webinar, but guess what? I didn't know how to do a podcast either. So I learned it. There's this thing called Google. I think you're aware of it. And there's this thing called reaching out to people that have already done something that you've done. So that's the kind of thing of not being a procrastinator behind hard tasks. And another book that you may be helpful with is Eat the Frog. That is an amazing book for you to really eat the hard task. So I hope this procrastination thing has given you a little bit of that grace for yesterday, peace for today, and a plan for tomorrow, because you deserve to live a life that you're feeling fulfilled and moving forward and going to the next higher limits that you possibly can, because the past has not been serving you. The present is where we get the work done, but the future is what is going to motivate you.